The paycheck doesn't just pay your bills. It decides who you are, what you eat, where you sleep, who you become. Most people think salary is a number. It isn't. It's a set of rules nobody told you about, and the rules change at every level. $20,000. You are 23. You work 40 hours a week and take home $1,380 a month. You know this number the way you know your own heartbeat. Not because you calculated it, because it shows up every time you try to do anything. Rent takes $700, not for an apartment, for a room. In a house with 3 other people and 1 bathroom and a landlord who texts you about noise after 10 p.m. The rest goes fast. Groceries, gas, phone bill, the internet you need for the job applications you send every night after your shift. You stop at the gas station on the way to work. You put in $15. Not because that's what you need, because that's what you have until Friday. The check engine light has been on for 4 months. You Googled it once. Closed the tab. Some things you're better off not knowing. Your coworker mentioned she's going to dinner Friday night. Nice place downtown. You say you already have plans. You don't have plans. You have $23 in your account and 4 days until payday. You eat lunch in your car. Not because you want to. Because the break room has conversations you can't afford to be part of. Someone will mention a trip. Someone will suggest a restaurant. Someone will split a check, and the math will be wrong for you in a way you don't want to explain. At $20,000, you aren't managing money. You are rationing it. Every dollar has a job before it arrives. Nothing is extra. Nothing is free. Nothing is yours until it's already gone. You open your phone one night at 11 p.m. and start scrolling through job listings. Every position that pays more requires experience. You can only get by already having the job. The loop is clean and merciless. You need the job to get the experience. You need the experience to get the job. You close the app. You stare at the ceiling. The fear at $20,000 isn't about tonight. It's about the possibility that tonight is permanent. The first rule, at $20,000, money is not something you have. It's something that has you. $35,000, the first paycheck with a comma in it. You deposit it and stare at the number for a moment longer than necessary. $2,100 after taxes. Into your account. Every 2 weeks. Consistent. Predictable. Yours. You get your own apartment. 1 bedroom. Small kitchen. A bathroom that belongs entirely to you. You stand in the middle of it on the first night and feel something you don't immediately recognize. It is quiet. Real quiet. The kind that belongs to you and nobody else. You fill your gas tank all the way for the first time in 2 years. You watch the pump click past $30, past $40, all the way to full. You sit in your car after and don't move for a minute. You can eat without doing math first. You can buy groceries without putting things back at the register. You can order something at a restaurant without calculating the tip before you decide whether you can afford the meal. These feel like enormous freedoms. To anyone above this level, they are invisible. But the panic didn't disappear. It relocated. At $20,000, the panic lived in your throat. Every morning, every transaction, every phone notification. At $35,000, it moved to the background. Still there, just quieter. A low hum instead of a siren. The awareness that one bad month, one unexpected bill, one medical expense could pull the floor out. You start looking forward for the first time. Not survival planning. Actual forward thinking. What do the next 2 years look like? What could you save? What might be possible? The second rule. $35,000 is the first salary where you stop running from last month and start thinking about next year. Level 3, $50,000. You did everything right. Degree. Entry level. 2 promotions. Direct deposit every other Friday into an account that doesn't terrify you anymore. And somehow right feels average. You have a 1 bedroom in a decent area. A car with under 80,000 miles. A credit card with a balance you almost always pay off. Your fridge is full. Your rent is paid. You can say yes to things without checking your balance first. 3 years ago, that felt impossible. Now it feels ordinary. And ordinary is uncomfortable in a way you didn't expect. You run the numbers one Sunday evening. $50,000 for the next 30 years. Standard raises. Standard trajectory. The retirement number at the end is fine. Not exciting. Fine. You stare at that projection and feel something arrive slowly. Not fear. Something quieter. Disappointment. The kind that doesn't announce itself. It just seeps in. Your colleague in the next department makes $80,000. You found out by accident. The work is the same. The hours are the same. The gap is $30,000 a year. In 10 years, that gap is a different life. You aren't angry. You are awake. At $50,000, you can see backward clearly. You remember $20,000 and you are grateful. You can see forward and you are hungry. Sitting between those two feelings in the same body at the same time is the most uncomfortable position on the entire salary scale. The third rule, $50,000 is the mirror. You see where you are and where you're not, both at once. Neither is comfortable. Level 4, $75,000. Something changed in your mornings. You can't point to the exact day. But at some point, money stopped being the first thought when you opened your eyes. It's still there. It's just not leading anymore. You moved to a better apartment. Not expensive, just chosen. You picked it because you liked the light in the kitchen. Because the neighborhood is quiet. Because you wanted it. Not because it was the only thing you could afford. That shift from settling to choosing changes how you move through every single day. You book a flight without waiting for prices to drop. You buy groceries without watching the total. You get your car serviced when it's due instead of when you can no longer avoid it. People start using the word successful when they talk about you. You don't correct them, but the word feels off, like something borrowed. Because from where you're standing, you can see $100,000 clearly, and $75,000 still feels like the waiting room. The friendships are changing in ways nobody is announcing. You don't pull away from old friends. The distance just appears. The things you stop mentioning because they don't translate. The restaurant you don't suggest because you know the prices will land wrong. The weekend trip you don't bring up because the math doesn't work for everyone. You hold things back to protect people you love. And that protection, over time, creates its own distance. The fourth rule. At $75,000, money gets quiet. And in that quiet, for the first time, you can finally hear what you actually want. Level 5, $100,000, 6 figures. You said the number out loud once to see how it felt. It felt smaller than expected. Taxes took $28,000 before the money touched your account. In a city with real rent, $72,000 is not what $100,000 sounds like. You are rich to your parents. You are average to your industry. You are broke to your neighbor in the building with the better view. The number means everything and nothing simultaneously, depending on who is looking at it. You stop telling people your salary. Not modesty, protection. At $100,000, everyone has thoughts about your money. Family members mention things they need. Friends forward business ideas. Coworkers watch how you spend. Strangers on the internet tell you 6 figures isn't actually wealthy anymore. Everyone has an opinion about a number they've never personally held. The lifestyle shifted. Better apartment, better food, better everything. But the jump from $75,000 to $100,000 did not feel like the jump from $20,000 to $35,000. That first jump changed what was possible. This one changed the options inside what was already possible. Options without direction is just a more comfortable version of being lost. You have the number you spent years chasing. And the strange thing about finally holding it is realizing the chase itself was what kept you moving. The fifth rule, 6 figures is a door, not a destination. What's on the other side is a question, not an answer. Level 6, $150,000. The change isn't dramatic. It's visible. Better apartment, nicer car. Vacations that require passports instead of just gas money. But the biggest shift isn't in your possessions. It's in your conversations. You stop relating to money stress. Not because you don't remember it, because the memory has stopped feeling real. It's like trying to remember being cold after you've been warm for 2 years. You know it happened. You just can't feel it anymore. That forgetting creates distance you don't notice until someone shows you. A close friend asks to borrow money. The amount is nothing to you. To him, it's rent. You say yes without thinking. He says thank you in a way that carries more weight than the words. And in that moment, you feel both sides of a gap you crossed without realizing it. You live in a different financial world now. Same city, same streets, different math. You start measuring life in different units, not salary, freedom. Can you leave this job without panic? Can you take 2 weeks off without calculating the damage? Can you say no to things that drain you without consequences? Almost. Not yet, but almost. The sixth rule, at $150,000, money stops being the topic. It becomes the silence underneath every conversation nobody is having out loud. Level 7, $250,000, different altitude, different language. You talk about tax strategy, not tax refunds. Portfolio allocation, not savings goals. Your accountant charges more per hour than your first week's salary. The people around you earn similar numbers not because you chose them for that reason, but because that is what proximity does over time. The conversation shifted without anyone deciding to shift them. Dinners where nobody mentions the price. Weekends where the budget conversation never comes up. Not because anyone is performing wealth, because cost genuinely stopped being a variable. You tried to explain your tax situation to your cousin at a family dinner once. His eyes changed halfway through. Not judgment. Distance. The same distance you felt staring up from $20,000 at people whose problems you couldn't understand. Now you are on the other side of that distance. And understanding both sides doesn't make it smaller. It makes it lonelier. The seventh rule, the higher the salary, the smaller the circle. The smaller the circle, the quieter the room. $500,000. Money becomes background. You don't check prices. You don't check your balance before making decisions. The calculation that defined every level below this one, can I afford this, simply doesn't run anymore. The question's changed. Not, can I afford it? Is it worth my time? Not, what does it cost? What does it cost me in hours? Everything is measured in time now. Time is the only currency at this level that you cannot create more of. Your problems have new names. Estate planning, trust structures, capital gains exposure, words that didn't exist in your vocabulary at $20,000. You didn't choose to learn them. The money required it. There is a specific kind of isolation at $500,000 that has no clean name. Not loneliness. Something more precise. The person you were at $20,000 eating cheap food between shifts in a car with a broken check engine light would not recognize your life, and you would not know how to explain it to them without sounding like exactly the kind of person you once resented. The eighth rule, $500,000 doesn't buy happiness. It buys distance. From struggle, from certain people, and slowly from the version of yourself who understood what it felt like to have nothing. Level 9, $1 million. You don't say the number out loud. Nobody at this level does. It exists in wire transfers and tax documents and conversations with attorneys who bill in 6-minute increments. You walk into rooms where decisions are made, not because of your title, because your judgment and your capital are useful to the people already sitting at the table. That is a different kind of invitation, not social, structural. The distance from $20,000 is no longer just financial. It is psychological, emotional, permanent. You remember the cracked phone screen, the $15 tank of gas, the job listings at midnight, the cashier waiting while you refreshed your banking app at the register. You remember it the way you remember a place you lived as a child. Familiar but no longer yours. Real but no longer reachable. The money stopped measuring your worth a long time ago. Now it measures something else. Your reach. Your options. The distance between what you want and what you can do about it. The ninth rule. At $1 million, the number becomes the least interesting thing about you. What matters is what you do with the reach it gives you. Somewhere right now, someone is sitting in a car in a gas station parking lot. They just put $15 in the tank. They have 4 days until payday. They're eating something fast and cheap and scrolling through job listings on a cracked phone screen. They think the problem is the number. It isn't. The number is just the surface. Underneath, it is a set of invisible rules. Rules about what you can see, what you can say, what you can choose, who you become. The rules don't get announced. They just change every single time the number does. You started at $20,000. Maybe you're still there. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle. Maybe you've crossed levels you never thought you'd reach. Wherever you are on this scale, the next level isn't just more money. It's a different set of rules. And knowing the rules before you get there is the only real advantage anyone ever has.